So I get the privilege of passing the mic to an amazing and wonderful doctor. He's been practicing for quite a while himself, and it's Dr. Ken Rictor.
Let me get the room for you. Thanks. It's great to be with old faces and new faces. I really appreciate it. What I'm going to talk to you guys in a real quick amount of time, and I can use some of your time too, so that works out pretty good. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about just hindsight, a little bit with Scotland Family Medicine and also with direct primary care. Some of the things that I learned the hard way, some things that I would change, some things that I did right. There were a lot of things that I did wrong. And I think we hear all the platitudes and all the great things about direct primary care, but it is a hard transition. And so we want to be realistic about this as well. So this is my practice, Scotland Family Medicine, direct primary care. And hindsight is maybe 20/30. Some of it isn't as great as it would be, but there are some things I learned. So what was? 2014, I had a fee-for-service practice. 25 years in practice. I had started right from residency when the only decision I had to make to open my practice was, do I want the bold print in the yellow pages or do I want the plain print? That's all I needed to know, and I immediately had a busy practice. And those in my generation of docs all experienced the same thing, and that's what we were taught to do, and that's what you did. Had about a staff of 11. We had 4,000 patients at the time of my conversion in March of 2014. And had my own building, and our source of income were fee-for-service. We did clinical trial work, and we also did laser treatments and different types of liposuction and all kinds of things like that. So I, like the rest, and I won't spend a lot of time on really that transition period as Lisa did, but I was just very uncomfortable with the way medicine was going, and I felt like I was owned by the companies, by the insurance companies, by the government, that they were starting to intrude on the way that I practiced medicine. And it was interfering with my time, it was interfering with my ability to practice medicine, and I just wasn't happy. I said, there's got to be another way. And it was about a 2 or 3 year process where I really looked over, talked to a lot of practitioners who were doing it and really read about it, and I said, you know what, this is the step that I need to make. I was probably about 65, 70% understanding of it, and I said the rest I'm just going to ride by the seat of my pants. So when we started, I initially made a lot of public talks out in the community to say this is what I was going to do to my existing 4,000 patients. And I said, of course, they're all going to come over because it's Dr. Rictor. Like, why wouldn't they come over? And out of 4,000, I had 325 winners that came over, and the rest are losers. No, but there were 325. And I had to reduce my staff from 11 down to 6 at that point. And my sources of income were memberships. They were residual fee for service because we had a little bit of wash from that over. Laser treatments, again, clinical trials, and the deadly line of credit. That was deadly. So what happened? Well, where we are now is direct primary care. We now have 625 members. We have a staff of 3. We have business relationships. We have source of income or memberships, moonlighting and urgent care, and still with the clinical trial work. So where will we be? I'm hoping that we're going to get up to about 700 members per provider. Staff of 3 will continue. Increased business relationships, hopefully multiple locations is what I'm looking to do. And the source of income will be memberships, clinical trials, and I'll be out of the moonlighting business. Here's the hindsight. 1, the apologetic tour. I talked to patients apologizing them for having to do this. I felt that there were market forces that were making me do this. And how dare do I charge them a monthly fee for insurances that are already covering their insurance? And I was stuck still under the same myth that their care was free because it was the insurance. Now I'm to the point that they were probably paying 10 times the cost, even with insurance, and getting less care than I was offering for a monthly fee. And I went through the facts and figures and talked for an hour on lines and diagrams and everything else about how this market force was going from 3 years of research for this thing. That was not the way to do the apologetic tour, and it's probably why I only had 325 people that said, we'll do this. I overestimated the patient number conversion. I thought it was going to be a lot more people that came over directly with me, and it was not the fact. The other thing is diminished cash flow. I thought, again, that we were going to be okay, and I didn't compensate enough for the amount of cash flow that I was going to need. It was a big drop-off. It was an immediate drop-off and a lot quicker than I thought. So big changes had to be made there, too. Dependence on banks. Again, you have an hour and a half, and I'll tell you a long story about that, but that was not the right thing to do. I thought this was the right thing to do. There was some interest-only loans, but it was not the right thing to do. It was what I thought needed to do because of the cash flow. The other thing is I did not partner early with a benefits expert. And I thought the way to do this would be to go to local businesses, and all I had to do was tell them what I was going to do, and the sun was going to come up and a light bulb was going to go up over their heads and go, I've been waiting for you all my life. And instead they're going like, why would I pay for what I'm already getting? And I go, wow, they're not getting this. I don't understand what's going on. And I did not have an understanding of the insurance market. I didn't have an understanding of any type of health benefits. All I could do is tell you what I can give you, and it wasn't good enough. So I need to partner with or understand it a little bit better. This quote says, the prudence of the best heads is often defeated by the tenderness of the best hearts. And I was thinking with my heart rather than my head, and I should have reduced my staff a lot more and a lot quicker. But I felt I was indebted to them. I appreciated their loyalty, but it nearly bankrupted me to be able to pay for all these people that I didn't need anymore. And the whole concept was a simpler system with a lower overhead, and I wasn't enjoying that, so I wasn't seeing the profit. That was a tough thing for me to be able to do. Foresight, what I did right. Well, I was an early adopter, and I love this. You know, I was before the herd, man. I said I really appreciated that, and I could see I am one of the early people in there. And at 3.5 years in this, I'm one of the old dudes doing it. And I thought, man, that's not a bad deal. Kind of a veteran at 3.5 years, you know? So the early adopter was a good thing. I relied on the old patients. A lot of people came back from my practice and said, we just wanted to see if you're going to survive. And now that we know you're going to survive, we're coming back. And now we're starting to see our numbers grow by old patients coming back who appreciated what I gave to them before, and they've lost it by going out into the fee-for-service market and want to come back to that again. Good moonlighting job. I found a great job at an urgent care center that allowed me not only to grow my practice, because whether you're urgent care, I'd say, why didn't you call your family doctor? Well, I did, but he couldn't see me for 2 weeks. Oh, really? Here, you know, we'll see you right away. And, oh, really? I didn't know where you're located. Well, right down there. Yeah, sure, no problem. So that worked out great. Plus, I could manage my practice since I could almost have a virtual practice. I have one laptop here, one laptop for the urgent care, and be able to go back and forth and take care of my patients while my office staff was in there getting vital signs for a patient. So that worked out great. I also found a benefits guru, Craig Scarrato, great guy, and he was terrific at teaching me the market, plus going to businesses with me and trying to show them that there was a better way to do this. I surrounded myself with leaders, a lot of people out here, and with the most amazing thing about this market of direct primary care, and I can honestly say for the first DPC summit I went to, no doubt every last one of those people I would want to be my doctor, and every person I would want to call my friend, because I think they had that focus of patient-first mentality. And it wasn't a callous and it wasn't a selfish deal, and they weren't afraid to work, and they were hard workers, and they really had a passion. And I thought, I'm around the right people, and very, very free with information, which was really refreshing. Good choices with tech tools and EMR. We've heard a lot of stuff about, hear a lot more. Really important decision because that's going to keep you mobile and with telemedicine. Developed a good website. Again, patients came to it and said, this is a professional deal, this looks good, and they were able to utilize it. Advice going forward, assume 7 to 10% of your existing practice will make the change with you. Now I'm hoping as people become more familiar with direct primary care, that number is going to change. But for me, I think that number, and talking to other doctors, it seems to be that's the number that works. So if you have a practice of 2,500, 3,000, expect 250 or 300 to come over with you and Excel sheet it out that way. Good cash flow, you're going to really expect it for about 6 to 12 months. I think you need to account for that, account that it's going to be down, and have some other type of resources, whether in savings or that job already for that. And more education than marketing. I don't think we have to market DPC, we just have to educate. And when people understand what it is, that's the natural marketing tool. I was more of a marketer trying to convince them this was the right tool and why I did it, when I really should say, this is what I'm going to be able to give to you, which is different that you have now. Good EMR and communication tools, you really need that. Limited staff, hard decision for me, but important to make. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, with a minute 30 to go, so I did good on this. I am crazy about Photoshop, so I created this because I really like this. And what I like about it is I think it illustrates the gaps in healthcare, and DPC is the pace that keeps it all together. And the nice thing is that we're not replacing it. What we're doing is we fill the gaps where it tends to lack, and we strengthen the healthcare in this country and make it more efficient. So that is all I have. There's my website. Thank you.